Shalom and welcome to Challenging Torah. The challenge to the Malibu Jewish Center and Synagogue is making these Torah portions relevant. And when we look at the beginning of Metzora, which is the story about how the priest has to look at the scab and know if you're pure or not, we go, oh my God, could we just skip this? And then we come to a very interesting place that says, and I quote, "When you come into the land of Canaan, which I give you for a possession, and there is the disease of leprosy in your house, and the one who owns the house shall come to the priest, and then the priest examines it. Is it red and green on the walls? Is there a depression? How has the house become contaminated? And then you can take out the contaminated stones, and then the priest comes back in a week and checks it again, and if it's still not okay, the house goes to the ground. You lose it." Here in Malibu, we've been fighting in our local schools what are called PCBs, our version of leprosy of the school. There is some sort of contagion that is causing disease in the caulking, it appears, of the windows of not only our schools, but probably schools across the nation. How do you check for this? Well, the EPA said fine to just check the air in the room. And the Malibu parents are saying, no, what about actually checking the caulking itself, which we all know is filled with disease-causing chemicals? Do we take the whole school to the ground? Do we remediate in some other way? Who declares when it's clean, tahor, or not? So we face contamination in our homes. Malibu also deals with mold all the time. We know about mold in the walls. So not just our bodies can be unclean, but the places we live or our garments can be unclean. Our bodies are not only unclean, but are subject to contagion. And so they're very worried, and we discussed this last week, about anything that is contagious, any kind of a plague. Here, it's the priest and not a doctor. I'm reminded of what happens when we go for a mammogram, and they say, and that priest doctor looks at it and says, okay, we're going to do it again, and you do the test again, and then it goes, well, it's a little out of the margins. How much is margins? And it's a realm between taking off a double mastectomy and just, a biopsy, or maybe we just watch it, right? This is the doctor acting as priest. And in the cases here, the priest was the one who put somebody out of the camp for 7 days, looked at their stuff, and then let them back in. But we still are left with the place of how do we heal? And what happens to the priest who touches the person, or who is with a leper, and it wasn't our leprosy, but it was a skin disease, and who then has the contagion? And we know that this is possible. That person then has to undergo a ritual healing. The first thing that heals is time. Priest stays away from everybody ad Arab, until the evening. Then he's to wash his clothes. For washing, water changes status on a spiritual level as well as on a physical level. We're looking at the process of building a mikveh here. That's my hope and dream. Why? Because we still carry ritual impurity all the time. And that ritual impurity is not, oh my God, she has her period. They regarded that as ritual impurity because it held a bit of death. And they were very terrified of stuff that oozed in the wrong place at the wrong time. But that cleansing, what happens after I finish a cancer treatment? What happens after a divorce? What happens after the death of a parent? And we want to cleanse ourselves from the stuff, the gunk that stays with us. Spiritual gunk. This is what the process of a ritual mikveh is for. Yeah, it's great to go in the ocean and my hot tub every day. But to be able to go to a ritual and say, when I come out of this, I'm not going to bring it with me. It is wisdom of the ages. we continue to do rituals. Yom Kippur, filled with ritual. It started with hands on a goat and continues to our fasting, the footwear, how we do our service. It's a ritual of cleansing. So that at the end God says, Salachti kedvarecha, you are forgiven according to your deeds and your words. We are about to approach our favorite ritual, which is Passover. And that Passover Seder has everything from broken matzahs exactly to hidden pieces to, I'm sorry, but blood that represents those 10 plagues carefully placed on the edge of your glass. And we don't say, that's barbaric. We need ritual in our lives. Ritual helps, rebalances us, and cleanses. We clean the chametz out of our house so that we have a house that is pure. We search for it with a little feather. We burn it and say, ownerless as the dust of the earth, in a ritual the night before Pesach. And hopefully our houses are clean and our souls are clean, and we are able to engage in a rebalance. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.